My friend told me this horrific story yesterday, and it has to be the scariest thing I've ever heard. So I felt like sharing it to remind everyone to stay safe and cautious. This happened to a friend of ours not too long ago. So this girl matched with a guy on Tinder and went on a couple of dates with him. On the first 2 dates, they went for coffee and on walks outside. She really liked him, thought he was friendly, good-looking, etc., and thought they clicked very well. For the third date, the guy suggested she come over to his place to have some wine. She agreed because she felt safe and comfortable to do so at this point. So the time comes and she goes over to his place and he pours her a glass of wine, and things seem to go well. They joke around and enjoy a nice talk. After a while, however, she starts feeling funny. Now luckily, this girl had already been roofied once before, so she immediately recognized the effects once they kicked in. And she was extremely clever in this situation as well, and she pretended she was feeling fine. She told him as energetically as possible that she was quickly going to use the toilet, as to seem like nothing was off. Once she was in the toilet, she locked the door and immediately called the police. She told him she was drugged and locked in the toilet, and that they needed to come get her out of there. Pretty soon after, she passes out. She awakes by the police but is still very drugged, so kinda slides in and out of consciousness. All she remembers is the police putting a bag over her head as they carry her out of there. A few days later, she is asked to come down to the police station to give her declaration of events. After doing this, she asks whether she remembers the police putting a bag over her head, or if she just imagined it due to the drugs she was on. They tell her that they indeed put a bag over her head, because they decided it would be too traumatizing for her to see what he had prepared and set up for her in the living room. This sends shivers down my spine. The guy ends up in jail, and to this day she doesn't know what he had in mind for her. But it's clear this was a very messed up and incredibly scary situation that could have ended horribly. Please, always let someone know when you plan on going on a Tinder date, even if you feel safe, even if it's not your first date. Always ask a friend to call and check up on you during and after to let someone know you're safe. For a little bit of background, I'm in a wonderful relationship right now with a guy I met on Tinder. So this is in no way, shape, or form me shitting on the app, even though the app can sometimes feel like a cesspool. I'm currently a senior at a 4-year university, but this happened in my sophomore year when I was 19. For me, it was pretty hard to find someone to just casually date and get to know, since I'm a bit of an introverted individual and wasn't looking for any old hump and dump. I also went through my fair share of abusive relationships, so dating for me was really difficult when it came to opening up and trusting people. When I matched with Chris, I was pleasantly surprised. He was funny, smart, interesting college student with a decent job and good intentions. I enjoyed talking to him, but there was always a lot of anxiety when I spoke with him. I now know that I should have trusted my gut instinct, but at the time I presumed I was doing my introverted trust issues bullshit and tried to push that feeling away. We would talk a few times a week, and every time we did, the feeling would persist, only each time we talked it would get stronger. He started to make comments about how he wanted me to be his girlfriend and how he was so excited for me to meet his parents, but we hadn't met and had only talked on and off for a few weeks at this point. So slowly I stopped responding to some of his messages. Then I started to leave them completely unanswered. One day I confided in my friends and told them about the weird feeling I always had while talking with Chris. They told me that I wasn't being open to new experiences because I hadn't let go of my past, and that I wasn't being fair to him. So reluctantly, after a few weeks of radio silence and feeling guilty, I messaged him. After another week or two of messaging and catching up, he asked me to go out to dinner with him. I was hesitant to say yes as my anxiety was through the roof, but my friends insisted that it was just nerves and it would be good for me to go out with someone. I agreed, and he excitedly told me he had plans to take me to a nice Japanese restaurant in the city next to my campus. My friends were ecstatic and asked to see a picture of him. I pulled up his Tinder profile, and when they swiped through the pictures, they went silent. You know, he kinda looks like my abusive ex here. I went into full-blown panic mode. Once I saw the resemblance, there was no going back. There was no way I was going anywhere with this guy. I texted him back the night before the date and explained that I no longer felt comfortable going out, and that I was sorry. He never texted me back. That same week, I started getting multiple phone calls every day from an unknown number. They would leave me voicemails that would say things like, "Call me back, babe," or "Baby, where are you? Why won't you give me a chance?" I tried ignoring them, but one day after getting almost 10 calls, I answered, ready to curse someone the fuck out. I called Chris by his name and told him to fuck off, and was met with laughter. "This isn't Chris, this is Jeff." "Who the fuck?" Chris said I could have you, and he started laughing. So I hung up and he immediately called back. I sent him to voicemail. He said you wanted to go out with me instead. He told me what university you go and showed me your pictures. I'll wait on campus if I have to. I blocked his number, and for a few more days I got a few more unknown calls and voicemails detailing some pretty weird, aggressive, and gross shit, but they eventually died out. I don't know if this guy was serious, or maybe it was Chris getting his friends to fuck with me as a revenge for canceling. But whatever it was, it had me looking behind me anytime I walked anywhere on campus for the rest of my semester. My roommates and I had a male friend stay with us for a while just in case. I started going back to my hometown on the weekends because I was afraid to stay on campus for too long. It's been 2 years, so I hope that in this amount of time, Chris and Jeff have learned to become better people. It was my first time using a dating app, and dating after like 3 or 4 years. I matched with a Chinese guy. He seemed really nice, and his pictures made him seem very handsome. So we talked for about a week pretty consistently, and I liked him a lot from text. When he asked me to meet up with him, I said of course, yes. We met, and he was nothing like his pictures. I later found out that he used Godfrey Gao's photos and not his own. He said he used the pictures because people thought he was too ugly. I should have left then, but I didn't, and we continued talking. He asked if I wanted to go for a walk at a park down the road, and I said sure. I don't see the harm in it. I told you, I'm really naive. I got into this guy's car, which was stupid of me, and off we went to another city about 25 to 30 minutes from the coffee shop we had been at. He says he comes here all the time and there's a nice trail, so I'm like, okay, we can take a walk and talk, but nothing else. But no, he parked the car and started kissing me, and then he started groping me. I was honestly so terrified. He wanted me to get back into the back seat, and when I said no, he dragged me out of the car and made me get into the back seat. I was freaking out, and it was like I was frozen. He locked the doors when he got in, and I was trying to push him away and keep him off of me, but he wouldn't stop. I kept saying no, but I'll never forget the words he said. "I've never been with a white girl before." He assaulted me, but I was lucky enough to fight him off and force the door open. I reached into the window of the first seat and grabbed my purse and took off down the little road, and a car was there. A high school girl. I probably scared her to death, but I ran to her and begged her to act like we knew each other so the guy didn't drag me back. She called 911 and told me to get into her car, so I did, and she locked the doors for me. The guy came looking for me. My sweater was still in his car, and he was screaming for me, but the girl said we were best friends, so she'd take me home. The police came and took me for a statement. I had to take pictures of the scratches and bites he left on me, and the female cop helped me fix my clothes. I've never told anyone.